Sometimes when a trailer for a movie can be misleading, it's hard to fix the damage that's already been done. There's been several examples of false marketing over the years, and one of the most deceptive, misleading, and insulting form of false advertising was a film called Kangaroo Jack, released back in 2003. The marketing was so obnoxious that the movie was already a joke before it hit theaters. Now when this movie came out, I was about 3.5 years old, and the only thing I can remember from this movie was seeing it up on the billboards, and like a lot of kids, I thought it would be a movie about a kangaroo, but that's not the case. Instead, we got a very different kind of movie than the one advertised. The movie was originally titled Down and Under, and it was designed to be a mafia comedy in the style of Midnight Run, geared with a lot of cussing, sex, and violence, geared more towards adults. The studio agreed though that the movie was awful, but there was one scene that they did like, and that was the scene that involved the kangaroo. The producers were apparently inspired by the marketing campaign for Disney's recent hit at the time, Snow Dogs, a movie that was actually based on a true story, but the commercials made it look like a fantasy about talking dogs. They figured that if they could similarly trick audiences into thinking that Kangaroo Jack was about a talking animal with an attitude, then that could prevent a certain disaster. So they ordered $10 million worth of reshoots involving a CGI marsupial, and edited it down from an R-rated mafia comedy to a PG film. And they made damn sure to market the movie towards kids and have the rapping kangaroo play a large role in that.
Nice. I said a hip hop. The hippie to the hippie.
Kangaroo Jack.
Yeah, that's all, folks.
Rated PG. Starts this Friday.
The movie stars Jerry O'Connell and Anthony Anderson respectively, and while they did great jobs at delivering their jokes and were entertaining to watch, I did feel like some of the jokes fell flat, especially with the childish jokes considering the adult humor in the movie. Like there's a few scenes where they have some potty humor, and to me, like, it just makes the movie more childish. And I don't mean any disrespect toward these actors, especially Anthony Anderson, because he's actually done some movies that I really like, and some that are even my favorites, like Hustle and Flow and Barbershop. And the only other movie I've seen Jerry O'Connell in was in Scream 2. But other than that, even he doesn't seem to be proud of this movie. And I can't forget to mention it, Stella Warren. When I saw this movie for the first time, I thought she was smoking hot in this movie, and it's a shame her movie career never really took off after, because I really enjoyed seeing her in Planet of the Apes. Now, a lot of the things that they did keep in this movie, and especially for a PG movie, was that it had a lot of very strong adult jokes. I mean, it was filled with a lot of sexual innuendos, a couple of alcohol references, and even some mild language.
Pansy ass retards are dead. You hear me? Dead!
But it was never even supposed to be a kids movie at all. Something that also didn't really bother me, but it is always stuck in my head when I think about this movie, was how they play the exact same song anytime the kangaroo was on screen. And basically what it was the instrumental of the next episode, the song by Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, just remixed with an Australian bass line. It's kind of weird, but the composer must have been smoking weed every day when he came up with this original ass music. But I think the one thing that pissed most people off was how the kangaroo never talks in the movie like how they advertised in the commercials, which was basically just the dream sequence that they showed in the trailer. And it seemed like they added these shots at the last minute because the kangaroo is only about 7 minutes of the whole movie. But I am gonna say, for the time when this came out, the CG on the kangaroo doesn't even look that bad. But even he was tricked into thinking that this movie was about him.
Wait a minute! The movie's called Kangaroo Jack. It should end with me. I'm a serious, classically trained actor. I can sing, I can dance, and I can jump out of the way of explosions.
Ow! Oh, yep, no, that's gonna leave a mark.
Now that should be the way you end a film, with the star.
And as you can imagine, it didn't do well critically, and nobody watched it. A lot of parents were shocked that the movie got away with the PG rating. One mother who took her 7-year-old daughter to see the movie back in 2003 wrote in a review, "I was really upset by the violence and sexual innuendo. I read a bad review, but it didn't say there was anything offensive in the film, and the commercials were running on Nick Jr., so I thought it must be a family film." The movie did manage to make about $90 million at the box office, and even got a direct-to-video sequel. I will give the movie credit though, it does have some good action scenes and car chase scenes, and some cool Australian locations like the Australian Outback, something I feel we don't really get to see that often in movies. So I really did like the setting of Australia in the movie. I also did like the movie's mob aspects and seeing a cameo from Christopher Walken. A couple of fun facts, The script for the movie was actually written back in 1996, and it originally had Nicolas Cage and Chris Farley as the lead characters. Some of the other people they even considered for the role of Frankie were Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, and Daniel Stern. Now that would have been interesting. The movie gets funny in some places, especially with the comedical expressions and CGI effects of the kangaroo. But because of the adult humor, is what makes this not only a bad mafia comedy, but a childish animal comedy. I kind of do wonder if the R-rated version is out there. Not that it would have been any better, but I do wonder if the R-rated cut still exists. But despite its flaws, Kangaroo Jack is still seen as a memorable cult classic from the early 2000s. And overall, I still enjoyed it. It was entertaining, and while it was clear from the start that the movie was already a failure, there were still some moments that still made me laugh.
So long, Jackie Legs.